The U.S. Supreme Court hears arguments today on whether former President Donald Trump should appear on Colorado's primary ballots, and the U.S. has killed a commander of an Iranian-backed militia in Iraq. Good morning. I'm Corva Coleman from NPR News, and here are today's top stories. The U.S. Supreme Court hears arguments today on whether Donald Trump can be disqualified from Colorado's primary ballot. The Colorado Supreme Court removed him. The state judges cited the 14th Amendment to the U.S. Constitution and said Trump's actions around January 6th amounted to insurrection. Georgetown law professor Michelle Goodwin says Trump has several defenses against this argument.
Amongst those of his defenses is that he should, in fact, be on the ballot, and the voters of Colorado should be able to decide whether they want to vote for him or not. But the rules of elections are left to states. There isn't a federal law that says this is how states must organize their elections and all in a uniform type of way, which makes it a bit thorny for Donald Trump.
The Supreme Court's decision about Trump's appearance on the Colorado ballot will be watched closely by other states. The CEOs of 3 major drug companies will appear before a Senate committee today. NPR's Windsor Johnston reports lawmakers are expected to grill them about the high cost of prescription drugs in the U.S.
Independent Senator Bernie Sanders has called out the pharmaceutical companies for charging more for prescription drugs in the U.S. than in any other country. Sanders released a report this week that singles out drug makers Johnson & Johnson, Merck, and Bristol-Myers Squibb. The findings show that J&J and BMS each spent $3.2 billion more on stock buybacks, dividends, and executive compensation than they did on research and development. The report also compared drug prices in the U.S. with other countries. The list includes the diabetes drug Januvia, which costs $6,900 in the U.S. compared to $200 in France. Windsor Johnston, NPR News, Washington.
Secretary of State Antony Blinken is wrapping up his latest Mideast trip. He's seeking a hostage deal and a potential pause in fighting in Gaza. The U.S. military killed a militia commander in Iraq yesterday. He led one of the most powerful Iranian-backed militias in Iraq. The airstrike is the latest between the U.S. and Iraqi militias. And NPR's Jane Araf reports from Baghdad. It's expected to have repercussions.
The airstrike on a vehicle in a crowded Baghdad neighborhood killed a commander of Kataib Hezbollah. Militia statements named him as Bakr al-Saidi. He was believed to be the group's head of logistics. Security forces closed roads leading to the U.S. Embassy and put in place more forces in anticipation of anti-U.S. protests, which have turned violent in the past. Some politicians said the attack further shows the need for U.S. forces to leave Iraq. Jane Araf, NPR News, Baghdad.
You're listening to NPR News.